Welcome back to Financial Understanding, Finance for Understanding. Today, in episode 6, compound interest. What is the best way to build interest? That answer is compound interest. Stay tuned. This episode is going to be about how you build wealth. Have you ever been curious on how do you actually make wealth for real? Compounding after compounding. That's what compound interest is. Things that can result from compound interest. It's a real heavily thing. You can just make the money, the paper money. So I have a statistic. 69% of Americans don't understand what compound interest is. This is from CNBC. That's sad to hear because wealth is built through that. For example, if you use compound interest versus real estate. Let's just say Granny bought a house in 1970, okay? And she sells that house in 2024 today for $1 million. You might say, Noah, that's a $900,000 profit, 90%. You're wrong. You didn't factor in, did Granny buy a new roof? You didn't factor in that property tax. You didn't factor in, did Granny need to buy any maintenance around the house? If Granny would have invested $100,000 in 1970 in the S&P 500 index, we'll talk about what that is, she would have made tons of money. For example, here's a quote from the one and only Warren Buffett. Many might know he's one of the best and one of the richest men in the world. My wealth has come from a combination of living in America, some lucky genes, and compound interest. Warren Buffett, net worth $140 billion. 0.4. That's from Forbes.com. I want you guys to understand what compound interest, and I'm going to show you later on in the episode the fundamentals on how you actually build these attributes. What is compound interest? Money makes your money grow faster and faster. It's interest compounding on each other. Here's an example. You are given $100. You invest that at 10%. So at the end of the year, you will have $110. That's good and all, but the year after that, you'll have 10% more on that. And I got that 10% interest on just a basic low-cost index funds. I'm going to do another episode on investing. An index fund is a basket of stocks at S&P 500. It tracks the top 500 traded public companies. And that average return, don't quote me, 10.22% if I remember correctly. And that's history. But there's also fixed income, which right now is really high, 5%. And that money just compounding. That's why, for example, retirement account, if you have a Roth IRA, a 401k with your employer, you can get that money and it just compounds, and when you retire, you have money. That's why it's also valuable. How money is built. It makes you rich with the money. And one thing it's valuable is this skill. Most people, as we know in our statistics, 69% of Americans don't know what compound interest is. So if you don't know it, then you can teach others. You get ahead and you can get that money and you can just have that. I haven't said this yet, but the sooner you start that compound interest, the younger, the more you're going to have, the longer duration it is, the more money you get. And that I'll show you later in the episode, a calculator that can pinpoint how much you actually get. Advantages, you can have a retirement money, how we were saying earlier, through, let's just take an IRA, for example. It's a type of retirement account. You retire when you're 60, for example. You can have that money, that compounded investments on top of each other. Let's play with that right now. So I'm on my Nerd Wallet, or that's the calculator we'll be using today. Just say we'll do more than that $100. Oh yeah, and for example, I'm gonna share the formula later. So the more your money compounds annually, the more you're going to make. So let's just say your initial start on your account, you have $1,000 in your account. You're a teenager. So we'll do that in the fairy tale later on. So let's just say your contribution amount is $100, okay? So let's do annually. Years of growth. So estimated rate of return. So let's just say we do 10%, mirroring that S&P 500, that index fund. Oops, not 19. Not 1%. So, for example, so as you can see here, this is 5 years of growth. So, total balance. So, obviously, you start with that $1,000. That $1,000 is just going to compound on each other, too. This is kind of like what you learn in math class with quadratic versus exponential. This is more exponential, and you'll see the longer duration, too. And it's not linear for you math folks out there. So, the longer duration you have, for example, the slope, it gets steeper. Okay? So now let's do 15 years. You can see that slope, it gets higher on higher. My wordplay. So, as you can see, the common saying is, $100 per month, like when you're around 20, and you have close to $1 million when you're retired, which generally is 65. So let's just do, so that would be 45 years. Let's do 150. This thing's just so fun to play with. It's the same thing. Monthly. There you go. Contribute. Oh, sorry. I messed up. So you're contributing $150 per month. Not. As you can see, it's super fun. This is how much, that's only like nothing, $100 per month. So let's just say, for example, you are contributing $150 per month. This is where that wealth can be made. Let's just say you buy a car. That interest is going to your investments, and that money's compounding off each other. As you can see, we'll be back to that with a fairy tale later on. I want to explain the equation. Now, I'm not going to be like a math teacher, and if you like it or not, controversial topic. I like math. I'm going to explain, because I just want to explain to you guys what this compound equation is. If you want to do it on pen and paper on your own, but that's the NerdWallet. It's also fun to play with too. You can create all these spreadsheets and everything too. So the equation is A equals P parentheses 1 plus R over N parentheses exponent N times T. The A stands for your final amount. The P stands for initial principal balance. And your R is your interest rate and how much N's number of times interest applied time per year. And then you plus that by 1. And then you're timesing it by number of time periods elapsed. And yeah, I said that. That's from Google. It's been a while from math class since I've done that. But with our fairy tale, who's going to love our fairy tale today? We're going to use the NerdWallet because, in my opinion, that's more fun. So, we got Johnny. He is 15 years old. He's a high school freshman. He starts with $1,000 in his bank account. $1,000. I think that's what we use. We can use from episode 2. He has a little job. He wants to invest $100 per month. That's a bit aggressive, but let's just say he has a good earnings paying job. So number of gross years is like, I want to go full on. I mean, if you want to do that, you can open up a Roth IRA with your employer, and then put money on that, it's pre-tax. That's a separate thing. But anyways, let's just say you have your investment account. Yeah, that's really good with an employer because you can also do it self-employed. And there's also accounts, companies that help you, obviously, if you want that like let's just say X date you retire, it takes your investments and it helps you with that. Corporation, agencies that help you with the amount of money you want to, whatever your target number is, and those agencies help you X day retire, and so on. Okay, let's go back to Johnny's spreadsheet. He's getting full into the nitty gritty of it, and as you can see, now no money's made really between now and 2040, but between now and 2060, we got $500,000. So heck, Johnny in 2070 can have $1 million. Obviously, that's pre-tax, and a lot of that was $1 million of that was from interest. That's compound interest at 10%. And obviously, if you want a little bit less risky, that's, see, if he had no money, oh, you can't do that. He started with one. Still same thing. Obviously, the more money you contribute, the higher you get. Yeah, I just love playing with this calculator. So, compound interest is the key fundamentals, as you can see, by 2070. Johnny contributing, how much do we do? $100 per month. He's a millionaire at 10%. That's what the S&P 500 index, 10.22%, I think. Don't quote me again, please. Historically returns. 8% is good too. Now that is aggressive, so I'll just do 8% too. Sorry about that. Because the more interest you make, it's only $500,000. But watch this, 15. It's pure exponential by the end. There you go, you math listeners. So there you have it. That's the fundamentals of what compound interest does. It builds your wealth. I said earlier, Johnny, he's a millionaire, retired, whatever, so be it. It helps you, allows you to reach those financial goals. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of what compound interest is. So thanks for listening. I have way more episodes planned, and this has been a blast of talking about compound interest, not debt.